He didn't just humiliate her parents, he erased them. Marcus stood in the center of his family's brownstone in Brooklyn Heights, his phone held high, recording as his father, William Hayes, pointed toward the elderly couple by the mahogany door. "Look at them," Marcus said, his voice dripping with disgust. "Your daughter married into generational wealth, and you show up here dressed like you just left the Goodwill, smelling like struggle." His mother, Patricia Hayes, stood behind him in her Chanel suit, arms folded, satisfaction glittering in her cold eyes. His girlfriend, introduced to everyone as just the new financial consultant, touched his shoulder gently, her red nails against his Tom Ford blazer, pretending to calm him while her smile carved wounds deeper than any words could. Emma's parents said nothing. Her father's Sunday suit hung loose on his shoulders, bought 20 years ago when he still had hope. Her mother's dress was clean but faded, the kind of tired that comes from washing clothes by hand to save money. They had driven 6 hours from Richmond in their 1998 Camry, bringing homemade sweet potato pie in Tupperware containers. Now they stood frozen as Marcus's younger brother uploaded the video to Instagram with the caption, "When the country comes to the city face with tears of joy skull." What Marcus didn't know, what none of them knew, was that the woman whose parents he was destroying owned the very ground his arrogance stood on. That brownstone? Hers. The Hayes family investment firm his father used to leverage connections? Hers. The mysterious venture capital group that saved Hayes and Associates from bankruptcy 4 years ago? That was Emma, the quiet wife they dismissed as too simple, too dark-skinned, too hood-adjacent, was the silent billionaire who could legally evict them all before dinner. Marcus thought he was exposing embarrassment. He didn't realize he just declared war on the woman who owned his entire world. Dear viewer, if you're watching without subscribing, it's like standing in that brownstone and letting Emma's parents be humiliated all over again. When you hit that subscribe button, you stand with every black woman who was ever underestimated, every parent who was ever mocked for their sacrifice. Subscribe now and drop your city in the comments, because today, you're about to witness what happens when a man humiliates his wife's family, unaware she's the billionaire behind his father's empire. 6 hours earlier, the morning had started like any other lie. Emma Hayes, 34, stood in the marble kitchen of the Brooklyn Heights brownstone, her locks tied in a simple wrap, wearing jeans and a Howard University hoodie, the same one she'd worn when she built her first tech startup in a shoebox apartment in Bed-Stuy. She was stirring grits the way her grandmother taught her, the wooden spoon making figure eights in the pot, when Marcus walked in. He was dressed for the office, sharp navy suit, gold cufflinks that cost more than most people's rent. To the world, Marcus Hayes was a rising star in his father's investment firm, the golden boy who'd turned the family business around. To Emma, he was still somewhere beneath all that polish, the man she'd fallen in love with before the money changed everything. "You're up early," he said, kissing her cheek without really looking at her. "Your parents are coming for dinner tonight. Thought I'd get a head start." His jaw tightened. "Right, that." He poured himself coffee from the French press, the expensive Ethiopian blend his mother insisted on. "My parents are bringing some business associates. Very important people, Emma. I need tonight to go smoothly." "I invited my parents too," she said quietly. "It's our 5th anniversary. I wanted everyone together." The coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips. "Your parents." His tone shifted, that subtle edge she'd learned to recognize. Not quite anger, not quite embarrassment, something worse. Shame disguised as concern. "Baby, I don't think that's a good idea." You know how different our families are. Different how? She kept stirring, her voice steady. Come on, Emma. Don't make this difficult. My father's business associates are from a certain world. Your parents are beautiful people, but they're just simple people. Country people. My mother's been planning this dinner for weeks. She has a vision. A vision that doesn't include my parents? Emma's hand stilled on the spoon. He sighed, running his hand over his fade. It's not personal. It's about optics. These associates, they're old money. They expect a certain aesthetic. Your parents showing up in their Walmart suits. Their old car parked outside Emma. They'd feel uncomfortable around people like us. People like you, she corrected quietly. Not us. You. He set the coffee down, checked his Rolex, the one she'd bought him for his 30th birthday with money from an account he didn't know existed. Look, I don't have time for this. I have to get to the office. We'll talk about it later. Just trust me on this. Okay? It's for everyone's benefit, including your parents. They wouldn't want to feel out of place. She watched him leave, his cologne lingering in the kitchen like an accusation. Through the window, she saw him slide into his Tesla, financed through a loan she'd quietly guaranteed when the bank rejected him twice. He drove away, and she returned to her grits, stirring slowly, her mind already made up about what tonight would reveal. On the counter, her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. We're so excited. Baby, your daddy got his suit dry clean special. We saved up and got you something nice for your anniversary. We can't wait to see you and Marcus. Emma stared at the message, her heart cracking quietly. They'd saved up. Her parents, who still clipped coupons and turned off lights in empty rooms, had saved up to buy her something nice. Meanwhile, she was stirring grits in a kitchen worth more than their entire house, wearing secrets that weighed more than gold. She texted back, "Can't wait to see you too, Mama. I love you so much." What Marcus didn't know, what he'd never bothered to ask, was that the phone in her hand controlled more wealth than his family had seen in 3 generations. The woman he'd just dismissed as simple held the keys to an empire he couldn't even imagine. But she'd kept it hidden. For years ago, when she was just Emma Collins from Richmond, Virginia, sitting in a coffee shop in Manhattan, she'd met Marcus, charming, ambitious, broke, and desperate to save his father's failing firm. She'd made a choice then. She'd wanted to be loved for who she was, not what she had. She'd wanted to belong somewhere without her money being the price of admission. She'd been 29 then, already a self-made millionaire from selling her first tech startup. By 30, she'd turned those millions into something bigger: strategic investments, real estate, venture capital. She'd moved in silence, the way her father taught her. "Don't let them see you coming," he'd always said. "Let your success speak when you're ready." Now, at 34, she was ready. Her phone buzzed again, this time an alert from her hidden investment app. Hayes and Associates stock activity. Unusual movement detected. She opened it. Someone was moving large sums through back channels. Money that should have been locked in escrow. Money she'd personally guaranteed to save Marcus's father's firm from collapse. Her fingers tightened around the wooden spoon. Outside, a black SUV pulled up. Through the window, she saw a woman step out, tall, brown-skinned, sharp in a cream pantsuit. Jasmine Monroe, the financial consultant. The same woman who'd been texting Marcus at midnight. The same woman whose perfume Emma had smelled on his collar 3 weeks ago. The same woman whose lipstick shade, that deep, distinctive red. Emma had found smudged on Marcus's dress shirt collar after a late night at the office. Emma watched Jasmine check her reflection in the car window, adjusting that same red lipstick with practiced precision. Then Jasmine walked into the building, not toward the business entrance downstairs, but toward the private residence elevator that required a code only family members had. Emma's hands went still. Her breath caught. She set down the wooden spoon and walked to the window, watching Jasmine disappear into the building with the confidence of someone who'd been there before. Many times before. She walked to the drawer beside the sink, the one Marcus never opened because it was just where Emma keeps her random stuff. Inside, beneath expired coupons and old receipts, was a small leather notebook. She pulled it out, flipping to a page marked with a paperclip. EC Holdings, Master Account Access. Hayes and Associates, 60% equity stake. Brooklyn Heights Property LLC, 100% ownership. Hayes Family Personal Loans, $2.3 million outstanding. Emergency contact, attorney Laura Chun. She'd written these notes 4 years ago, the day she'd saved Marcus's family from financial ruin, the day his father, desperate and broken, had signed papers he didn't fully read, the day she'd become the silent majority owner of everything they claimed to have built themselves, the day she'd paid off their personal debts, their business loans, even Marcus's student loans from the MBA program he'd dropped out of. Emma closed the notebook, her decision crystallizing like ice forming on water. She picked up her phone and dialed. Laura? It's Emma. I need you to pull the Hayes and Associates files. All of them. The ownership documents, the original bankruptcy filings, the loan agreements, everything. She paused, her voice turning cold as winter. And Laura? Schedule an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. It's time they knew who they've been dealing with. Laura Chen's voice came through, sharp and alert. Emma, you're sure? Once we do this, there's no going back. I've been going backward for 4 years, Laura. It's time to move forward. That evening, the dinner table looked like a magazine spread. Crystal chandelier casting prismatic light across hand-painted china. Fresh flowers, white roses and orchids, arranged in a Waterford vase. Silverware that cost more per piece than Emma's parents spent on groceries in a month. Patricia Hayes had outdone herself, orchestrating every detail like a woman preparing for battle, not family. Emma had changed into a simple black dress, Zara, not designer and flat shoes. She'd learned early in her marriage that Patricia noticed everything and commented on most of it. Why don't you dress up more? Why don't you wear heels? Why don't you try harder? Tonight, Emma didn't care what Patricia noticed. When the doorbell rang at exactly 6:47 p.m., Emma's parents stood on the brownstone steps, her father holding the Tupperware containers carefully, her mother clutching her worn leather purse, the same one she'd carried for 15 years. Through the ornate glass door, Emma could see them, small against the grandeur of the entrance, nervous but dignified, beautiful in their humility. She moved to open the door, but Marcus's hand caught her wrist. Wait, he whispered, his grip tight enough to hurt. Let me handle this. Something in his eyes made her stomach drop, a calculation she'd never seen before, a coldness that made him look like a stranger. She watched as he opened the door, his father William appearing behind him like a shadow of judgment. Patricia materialized on the stairs, descending slowly in her Chanel suit, her heels clicking against marble like a countdown. Mr. and Mrs. Collins, Marcus said, his voice too loud, too performative, projecting to an invisible audience. What a... Surprise. Baby, we told you we were coming, Emma's mother said softly, confusion flickering across her face. For your anniversary dinner. We've been planning it for weeks. Patricia Hayes reached the bottom of the stairs, positioning herself like a general surveying defeated troops. Oh my, she said, her voice dripping false sweetness and real venom. Marcus, darling, I thought we discussed the guest list for tonight. The Hendersons are coming. The Vanderbilts. This is a very important evening for the family business. That's when William Hayes's phone came up. That's when Marcus's younger brother, Tyler, appeared from the living room with his phone already recording. That's when the humiliation Emma would never forget began. Look at them, Marcus said, and Emma's world tilted sideways. Your daughter married into generational wealth, and you show up here dressed like you just left the Goodwill, smelling like struggle and poverty. Her father's hands trembled. The Tupperware containers shook. Her mother's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. Years of dignity holding her spine straight even as her heart broke. Emma stepped forward, but Jasmine appeared from the living room like she'd been waiting for her cue, placing a possessive hand on Marcus's arm, her red nails stark against his Tom Ford blazer. Baby, maybe we should handle this privately, Jasmine said, her voice theatrical concern, her eyes bright with triumph and vindication. No, Marcus said, louder now, playing to the cameras his family held like weapons. I'm tired of pretending, tired of my wife's background dragging down everything we've built. Everything my family has built for generations. Look at them. They drove here in a car older than my relationship with Emma. Brought food in plastic containers to a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. To a dinner with the Vanderbilts. Emma's mother took a step back, physically recoiling from the words. Her father straightened his shoulders. 70 years of dignity fighting against shame and confusion. We didn't know, her mother whispered. Emma said it was just family. We brought your favorite baby girl. Sweet potato pie just like you like it. Just family, Patricia repeated with a laugh that cut like glass. This is family. The Hayes family. Old money. Old values. Old standards that some people simply can't meet. We'll go, her father said quietly, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. We didn't mean to cause trouble, baby girl. We just wanted to celebrate with you. No. Emma's voice cut through the room like broken glass, sharp enough to draw blood. You're not going anywhere. Everyone turned to look at her. For the first time that evening, Marcus seemed to really see his wife, the quiet woman he'd taken for granted, the simple girl he'd kept in the background, the convenient wife he'd used as a stepping stone. Emma, don't make a scene, Patricia warned, her voice dripping condescension. This is embarrassing enough. A scene. Emma laughed, the sound hollow and sharp and dangerous. You film my parents being humiliated in my house, post it on social media for the world to see, and I'm the one making a scene? Marcus stepped toward her, his voice dropping to that patronizing tone she'd learned to hate. Baby, you're upset. You're emotional. Let's talk about this after they leave. After everyone leaves. We can discuss this privately, like adults. After my parents leave the house I own? Emma's voice was quiet now, deadly quiet, the kind of quiet that comes before storms. The room went silent. The crystal chandelier above them seemed to stop tinkling. Even the city noise from outside faded away. What are you talking about? William Hayes's voice cracked, years of confidence splintering. Emma walked to the hall closet, her movements deliberate and calm, each step measured. She pulled out a leather folder she'd placed there that morning, after her call with Laura. Inside were documents stamped, notarized, undeniable, organized with the precision of someone who'd built empires on details. "This brownstone," she said, her voice steady now, carrying the weight of 4 years of silence and secrets, "is owned by Brooklyn Heights Property LLC. I am Brooklyn Heights Property LLC. The investment firm you work for, Marcus? The one you tell everyone your family built? I own 60% of it. The venture capital group that saved your father's business 4 years ago when every bank in New York rejected you? That was EC Holdings. Emma Collins Holdings. Me." She spread the papers across Patricia's perfect table, covering the expensive china with truth, legal documents landing on delicate porcelain like bombs. "Every debt you thought your family paid off? I paid it. Every major contract that saved Hayes and Associates from bankruptcy? I facilitated it through my network. The Tesla you drive to work every day, Marcus? I guaranteed the loan when 3 banks rejected you because of your credit score. This dining room where you just humiliated my parents, the parents who raised a billionaire while you all raised a man who mistakes cruelty for class? I bought it. Every single piece of it. The chandelier, the china, the oxygen you're breathing. Mine." Marcus's face had gone gray, the color draining from his skin like water from a broken dam. "That's impossible. My father built this business. My grandfather. Your father signed the papers," Emma interrupted, her voice cutting clean and precise. "4 years ago, when his firm was 2 weeks from bankruptcy and the banks had closed every door in his face. When your family was about to lose everything, this house, your reputation, the Hayes name that you all love to throw around like it means something. He knew. He's known this whole time who really saved your family." Her eyes found William Hayes, who couldn't meet her gaze, his shoulders collapsing like a demolished building. "Didn't you, William?" The older man's shoulders slumped, decades of pride collapsing in an instant, years of secrets finally crushing him. We agreed to keep it confidential, for Marcus's sake, for the family's sake, so he wouldn't feel emasculated." Emma finished, her voice sharp. "So he could pretend he was the hero? Walk around playing big man while I played the simple wife in the background? Smiled at your friends while you all joked about my country roots and my simple taste?" Patricia's hand flew to her mouth, her carefully applied lipstick suddenly looking garish against her pale skin. Marcus stumbled backward, bumping into Jasmine, who suddenly looked very small and very exposed. "You knew." Marcus turned to his father, betrayal cracking his voice into pieces. "All this time, you knew she owned everything? The company was dying, son. Your mother and I were about to lose everything. This house, our reputation, our dignity, everything 3 generations of Hayes men built. Emma saved us. The only condition was privacy. She didn't want you to know. She said." William's voice broke, decades of composure finally shattering. "She said she wanted you to love her for who she was, not what she had. She said she wanted to know if you could love her when you thought she had nothing." Emma's mother was crying now, but not from shame, from fierce, unshakable pride. The kind of pride that comes from watching your child become everything you dreamed and more. Her father stepped forward, placing a weathered hand on his daughter's shoulder, his calloused palm warm and solid and real. "That's my baby girl," he whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That's my daughter." Marcus's voice shattered completely. "You let me think you were nothing. You let me treat you like you were beneath me. You let me—" He couldn't finish. couldn't articulate the magnitude of his own cruelty coming back to destroy him. The weight of every dismissive comment, every condescending moment, every time he'd made her feel small crashed into him like a tidal wave. "I let you show me who you really were," Emma said quietly, her voice steady as stone. "And you did. Spectacularly. Completely. You showed me exactly who you are when you think no one important is watching." Jasmine tried to slip toward the door, her cream pantsuit suddenly looking cheap under the chandelier light, but Emma's voice stopped her cold. "Ms. Monroe, or should I say Ms. Green? That was your name when I fired you from my first tech company for embezzlement, wasn't it? Before you changed it and decided seducing my husband was the perfect revenge? Before you forged those documents and tried to sell my pricing models to competitors?" Jasmine froze, her face draining of color, her carefully constructed facade crumbling like sand. "I don't know what you're talking about. EC Tech Solutions. 5 years ago, you were a junior analyst. I caught you stealing proprietary code. I fired you quietly, didn't press charges, gave you a chance to rebuild your career somewhere else. No public scandal, no police, just a closed door and a warning." Emma's eyes were ice. "You think I didn't recognize you? Didn't know exactly who you were the moment Marcus brought you into this house 6 months ago? I've been watching you both for months, waiting to see how far you'd go, how low you'd sink, watching you steal from me twice, first my code, now my husband." Emma turned back to Marcus, meeting his eyes with the weight of years of silence. "You want to know what's really sad?" she said evenly. "I would have given you everything, the truth, the money, the partnership. We could have built something real. But you had to love me first. The real me, not the small version you invented so you could feel superior. You never even tried to know who I was. You never asked about my days or my dreams, why I was always on my phone, or where I was rushing off to. You just assumed I had nothing important going on." She picked up the stack of papers, leaving one document on the table with deliberate care. "That's an emergency board meeting notice for Hayes and Associates. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Mandatory attendance for board members and senior partners. We'll be voting on new leadership. And Marcus," she paused, "bring a resume. You're going to need it." He reached for her, panic replacing arrogance. "Emma, please. I didn't know. If I had known." "That's the problem," she cut in quietly. "You never wanted to know. You wanted a wife who fit in your pocket. Someone whose parents you could mock to feel bigger than you actually were." She gestured toward the couple standing by the door, dignity radiating from them. "My parents raised a billionaire in a 2-bedroom apartment in Richmond. They taught me that wealth isn't what you have. It's who you are when everything's stripped away. When money and titles are gone, whatever's left is what you're really worth." She walked over and linked arms with them. "Tonight, you showed me exactly what you're worth. And it's nothing." Then softly to her parents, "Let's go get real food. I know a place in Harlem where nobody has to pretend." As they moved for the door, Emma paused and turned back to the frozen room. Marcus, his family, his mistress standing in her house, surrounded by everything she owned and everything they thought they'd earned. "Oh, Marcus," she added, "you've got 30 days to move out. I'm taking my house back. All of them, the brownstone, the Hamptons place, the Miami condo. I'll have Laura send the eviction notices in the morning." She pulled a small box from her purse, the wedding ring she had removed that morning, and placed it beside the papers. "You can keep that. Consider it severance." The door closed behind them with a quiet click that echoed louder than thunder through the brownstone. Outside, Under the cool Brooklyn night sky, Emma's mother squeezed her hand. "Baby, are you okay?" Emma looked back at the pristine brownstone, now hollow and exposed. Then she looked at her parents. "I'm perfect, Mama," she said. For the first time in 5 years. Her phone buzzed. "Laura. Meeting confirmed for 9 a.m. The board is ready. The press is already calling. It's your company now. Make them remember who built it." Emma smiled, not with spite, but clarity. The kind that comes when you finally stop pretending to be smaller than you are. They walked toward her parents' old Camry. Her father laughed. "All this time our little girl was running New York while we thought you were settling into married life?" "All this time," Emma said, opening the car door for her mother. "I was just trying to be loved. Turns out, I already was." Her mother cupped Emma's face, hands worn from years of work. "Special or not, billionaire or broke, you're still our baby girl." "The money doesn't make me special," Emma said. "You both did." They drove away, 3 generations of strength moving toward Harlem, toward home, toward freedom. Inside the brownstone, Marcus watched their taillights fade. He finally understood what he had lost. Not the money, not the power, not the houses, but the woman who would have given him the world if he'd only seen her as worthy of it. Behind him, his mother whispered, "William, what have we done?" Marcus didn't answer. He stared at his phone as his brother's Instagram video went viral. Caption: "When the country comes to the city face with tears of joy skull." The top comment already had over 127,000 likes. "Nah, that's when the queen reclaimed her throne. He humiliated a billionaire's parents and learned today." Another: "Imagine disrespecting the woman who owns everything you have. Iconic." Another: "Those parents raised a billionaire and he tried to shame them? Disgusting. Good for her for taking everything." Marcus closed his eyes, but the damage had already been done. Tomorrow he would face a boardroom that knew the truth. Tonight he would sleep in a house that was never his, surrounded by empty spaces where love and partnership could have been. Across the city, Emma sat between her parents at Sylvia's in Harlem, eating fried catfish, collard greens, and cornbread that tasted like home. Her father cracked jokes, her mother laughed too loud, and Emma felt light for the first time in years. Miss Sarah, the owner, brought extra cornbread and sweet tea. "Y'all look happy," she said. "That's the kind of wealth money can't buy." Emma's father raised his glass. "To my baby girl. Always knew you'd change the world. Just didn't know you'd buy it first." They laughed, filling the restaurant with warmth and ease. Emma's phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. "Congratulations, Ms. Collins. The world is about to know your name, and they should." She turned the phone face down and reached for her mother's hand. Let them know, she thought. Tomorrow she would remind them who built the empire and what happens when quiet strength stops being underestimated. But tonight, she was just Emma Collins again. Daughter, billionaire, free. And that was everything.